if you just simply organize your money, it
Yes.
frees up your mind and makes decision making so much easier. I want to give a quick shout out to my podcast manager, Abby. If you're in need of help in launching and managing your own show, please reach out to her at productions@abbygwaki.com. I'll put her details in the show notes. She really is the best, and I love her. Welcome back to Quiet Wealth. I am your host, Camilla, and I'm so excited. We have another amazing guest for you today. But first, if you are new here at Quiet Wealth, welcome. I'm excited that you're here. Have joined us today. Here at Quiet Wealth, we talk about three things. We talk about building wealth, building businesses, and leaving a legacy. And our guest today is going to be able to talk about all three of those things. And I'm super excited to welcome Teshra Robles. Teshra, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm just super excited.
Me too. Now, Teshra is a financial organizer. And let me just tell you, we all need a financial organizer in our lives to help us organize our finances because a lot of us are messy in our money. And I love that Teshra does this. Now, Teshra and I met in July of this year at a conference. It was a real estate investing conference. And oh my gosh, I could have just spent the whole day just talking to you one-on-one. And because we were just chatting about her business and what she does. And so, Teshra, I just would love for you to introduce yourself to our listener and tell us about your journey and what you're doing right now.
Sure. My name is Teshra, and I am a mother of 5. And I was very fortunate because my first dream job was being a stay-at-home mom. And then my second dream job was in banking. And now I'm currently on to my third dream job. So I have been very, very fortunate. I work where I want to. And I think that's a huge key for anybody in life. We all talk about pursuing freedom. We always talk about, making money and being successful. I think the bottom line is you have to be working where you want to be. And for so many people, that's tough. I am from Texas, was born in Irving, so up in your neck of the woods. And then I moved all the way to Hawaii, believe it or not. And I started out in Texas. It's kind of an interesting story because when it comes to finances, you've got really poor, you've got really wealthy, you've got the in between. Well, I've been able to actually live out all of that. So when I was in Texas, I was very, very wealthy as a young child. Moved out to Hawaii, was extremely poor, the type of poor where I was stealing toilet paper from school because dad said I had to, type of poor, really poor.
Wow.
But I was living among the very, very wealthy. I was fortunate to go to a very prestigious K through 12 school. So got a lot of my education there. But once again, I was a scholarship kid amongst these people who are extremely wealthy. So I saw both sides of the story. Moved to Los Angeles, moved to San Diego, and then got into banking. So I've seen everything. I've lived everything. I've lived off one income. I've lived off a great corporate income. And I have done the whole, I'm 55. So my generation is that where you work 40 years and then you retire and you hope that you put into the stock market like you're supposed to. So having to back out of that just a little bit and say, hey, what are some other options? Why is that the only option? Why do you have to wait to 65 to retire? Why do you have to only put your money in the stock market? So I'm very excited that when I finally started working for a large bank, I worked there for 11 years, learned a whole bunch, was able to coach tons and tons of customers, believe it or not, and then looking back, it wasn't called coaching, but that's exactly what it was because they didn't know what was going on. And there's so many terms and so many things are so complicated. So I was able to have that benefit, but I also had the huge benefit of being able to serve them because you were serving people who didn't understand what was going on. They were confused. They were scared, or some people even had too much money they didn't know what to do with. And so having to make all those decisions. So you get a whole gamut of wealthy to poor, poor to wealthy, but also different phases. So I was able to do that. I got a little caught up in I like to work in the corporate world. And it started to hit me. God kept tapping on my shoulder. Your 5th child is going into high school. And I decided it's time to go. So I was, believe it or not, going to quit on January 1st of this year. But our good friend, Julie, she challenged me to quit 3 months earlier. I did that and I started my own business. And granted, I did get all my ducks in a row before I quit so that I could do this. However, it was a lot of learning. And so I'm excited that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. But I can also say I've always been exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I think I'm not too sure how that happened, except to say that I was never willing to settle for something that was absolutely awful. So many people complain and they're very unhappy. And I wasn't going to do that at all. Granted, a lot of the spots were hard and the journey's been very, very difficult, but it's been incredibly worth it. So now I live in beautiful Bonners Ferry, Idaho, right by the Canadian border. And so, yeah. So,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
me.
Okay. First, I want to talk about what an amazing journey that you have had and a beautiful one, right? And I
Yeah.
love that you are reading the positive page of your life and be like, yep, all three of these were my dream jobs. I'm so lucky to have worked in all my dream jobs. And,
Thank
you're really
you.
putting things into perspective for me. Because when you were saying that, I was like, did I think that was a dream job for me or did I hate it? Where was I on the spectrum? But I
Mhm.
appreciate that. And then, just when you said work where you want to be, that is so key for all of
Yeah.
us, is that,
Yeah, it
it's
really is.
important to choose where you want to work. And I know we talk about retirement here on this show sometimes, but really, I don't know. When I think of retirement, I really want to do that because that sounds boring. It sounds like I'm not doing anything, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not a partier. I love work. I love like doing things that are meaningful and teaching and educating. I don't think I'll ever stop because I've found something that I love. So
Mhm.
yeah. And
Absolutely.
so,
Totally
Trisha and
agree.
I are both mamas of 5 kids. And so this whole tap on the shoulder, like, hey, your kids are growing up and they're going to be
Yeah.
gone soon is a real thing. I went through the same thing, with my twin daughters were sophomores in high school. I was like, uh-oh, I've only got 2 more years with
Yeah.
them.
Oh, wow.
And so that's when I left my corporate job so that I could be flexible enough to
Mhm.
attend all of their tennis tournaments which were on Tuesdays. And, it wasn't like
Absolutely.
for a job, but I
Yeah.
needed to be there
Yeah.
and not miss out on those experiences of life.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter, it was her freshman year and she was just going into high school and it was 3 weeks before school started and they had their second volleyball game. And because I was so caught up in work, I couldn't go because it was at a time when I had to be at work. I had to be the body and the boss's right hand man. And she ended up having a massive concussion, broke her nose, had to have nose surgery, and I wasn't there. And as a mom, you kind of go, okay, I should have been there. I should have been there. Granted, I could have been anywhere else. It's not about that. But it was really the kickstart of going, I have done 2 dream jobs so far. Why am I staying when I know there's another one coming? And that was like, okay, it was very clear. It's time to go. But it was a choice. So then I was able to, help her out and help her with her volleyball season. But she was a freshman about the age of your daughters too. So,
That's
mhm.
powerful. That's
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah. I mean, I bend over backwards to get back for things for my kids and
Mhm.
I've missed a lot. But most recently I was at a conference and realized my daughter had a volleyball tournament on the Saturday and the conference went through Saturday and I was like, you know what? And I debated and debated and debated like should I stay because there was a lot of classes I wanted to attend on that Saturday. And ultimately
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? I chose this life so I could be there. And so
Yeah.
I got myself up at 4 a.m. and jumped on a 6 a.m. flight so I could be back at 7:30 in time for her first game at 9.
Wow. High five, mom. Thanks.
What you do. That's what you do. All right. So let's talk about your job as a financial organizer, right? So you've been in the baking industry for 11 years. You love numbers. You actually
Mhm.
already coached a whole bunch of people in their finances. And so
Mhm.
now you're stepping out of working for someone else and now you're doing it for yourself, which I think is amazing and beautiful. And we're going to talk about that transition at the end of the show. So stay around for how she's transitioning into this and scaling. So we're going to talk about her scaling plan. But first, let's talk about what you actually do as a financial organizer.
Okay. So what I do is I have people come to me. Usually they're women. They are disorganized with their money. They are very, very specialized in something. They do what you do, or they run a massive cupcake business. That's their specialty. Money is not. Not everybody is good with numbers. And that's okay because it's good. Otherwise, there'd be 10 million of us and nobody would need me. So it's a good thing that we all have our specialties. So I really believe that God put each one of us on this earth with a specific ability that he created in us to give back to this world. And I just think this world would be so much better off if everybody was doing what they really wanted to do. And everybody knows what that is. They might kind of say, well, I'm not totally sure, but there's something that they just love to do. And when they're doing that thing, they're in their zone of genius and they get super happy. So that's what they love to do. So usually I'll say to them, okay, what's stopping you from taking one step forward and pursuing what it is you want to do? Sometimes it's help. Sometimes it's lack of organization. Sometimes they don't think they're confident enough. So it's mindset. 9 times out of 10, it's I don't have enough money. So then the question begs, well, how much is enough money? Can you not step out into your zone of genius until you have $1 million in the bank? Do you have to be a millionaire before you're doing what you want to do? That might take a while because, as we all know, it takes work to become a millionaire. You don't just wake up one morning and go, I'm going to make a few decisions, and 2 weeks later, the check comes in the mail. It doesn't work like that. I sit down with these people and I say to them, okay, what is it that keeps you up at night? And most of them say, I don't know how much money I have. I'm making all this money and I never have anything to show for it. I really want to go to Italy, but I cannot afford it at all. So I come in and I say, okay, let's look at all your statements. Where do you spend your money? How do you spend your money? Let's set you up a system that's going to show you exactly where your money goes. I'm very partial to QuickBooks Online. Most people think it's very, very confusing, but it's a great program to scale at some point, or if you start your own business. But it's also a great program where if you know 5 to 10 simple steps that are custom used for you, you can pull up and say, how much did I spend at Starbucks last year? Guess what? That might just buy me 2 plane tickets to Italy. We get it all organized for you. And you see, first of all, they're shocked because they go, wow, I had no idea. They're never looking at their money. 2, they can see I can make some changes if I want to, or what's it going to take to make some changes? Do I need to cut out these expenses? Do I need to bring in more income? And you could just see, because they're just numbers, if you want to make $10,000 a month and you only make 5, well, how do you do that? If you have $5,000 extra of expenses you can completely cut out, then boom, done. But if you need to bring in more income, then that's a whole nother story. So then they have information in front of them, then they can use. Also, I'm a huge, huge advocate of everybody goes to their therapist. Everybody gets their lashes done. Everybody gets their nails done. Us women like to be so beautiful and it's so much fun. But how many women actually sit down with their money 1 hour a week and do it every single week? Most of them go, 1, I don't have time, which isn't true. 2, I'm super scared. 3, I don't even know what to look at. So then avoidance. Not going to do it, not going to do it. It brings them right back to the same problem they were to begin with. Set them up a system.
Calling us out, everybody. She's calling us out.
I'm calling you out.
I love it.
Yes. So we'll get you organized with a system. We will make sure you sit down for 1 hour a week with your money. And then third, most importantly, I'm going to show you some tips where you can balance your checkbook if you need to. Some people don't. There's nothing wrong with that. But making sure that everything that's coming into your system is actually what's happening. And you could do this an hour a week, very simple. Or you have the option to hand it off to a bookkeeper or an accountant who can take care of it for you. And that's totally fine. My only caveat with that is you need to make sure that you know enough to watch what your bookkeeper or your accountant is doing, because it's your money, it's your responsibility. And again, there's a few simple things, even if you're not a numbers person, that you can use to figure this out. So then you've got your system set up, you're an hour a week, you're handing it off to someone you want to do it, or you've educated yourself. And then people have the option of keeping me on a monthly basis. I can go back and review or do a follow-up to make sure they're doing what they're doing. And then I can be the one to pick up the phone in 6 months and go, so how many hours did you spend the last 3 months with your money? Was it 4? Was it 12? Let's talk now. So I'm big on accountability as well.
Holding your feet to the fire.
Yes. So I do it for personal. I do it for businesses as well. A lot of businesses find that they have no idea what's going on. And so cash flow is important, whether that's in your personal or your business. Your cash flow is money that's coming in and then what's going out. So for instance, if you wanted to buy a truck, you go, great, I'm going to buy a truck. Well, what if there's not enough money coming in this month and there's too much money going out? Maybe you need to wait 3 months from now. But then you have those options and that information at your fingertips, plug in a few buttons and you're good to go. And then you know if that's a good decision, or you know I need to wait 3 months. So it's really, really about information. So then you can make those choices, and then you can't sit back and say, I didn't know. It was completely out of my hands. I didn't get to go to Italy. No, you better get your butt to Italy, because yeah, you need to go. So,
Yes. Amen. Amen.
yes.
Amen
So
to
that's
all
what I
of
do.
that. Amazing. I love that you're calling us out and saying, listen, this is what you got to do. Because, and you're eloquent at it than I am, because I'm always like advocating, like, come on, you can do this, right? You can level up and stuff. I saw this really cool quote the other day that said, if you could believe in Santa Claus for like 8 years, you can believe in yourself for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I'm gonna listen to this podcast just to remember that. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And so often we're such caregivers, and we're so good at taking care of everybody else, and we're so good at pushing ourselves along, that a lot of times you have very successful women that their money is just, the fact that they don't know what's going on is draining the life out of them, but they can't talk about it because they're a professional. They can't talk about it because they're a mother or they're a wife or a woman, and they're supposed to know what's going on. The truth is, you need to have somebody you can come to talk to. So because I worked in banking for over 11 years, I can keep my mouth shut. So you can come to me with anything. You can come and tell me, I'm the CEO of a company and I have 37 credit cards. Like, you can come and tell me that, because the reality is stuff like that goes on, and we shouldn't be embarrassed, but there's no reason why everybody needs to know what we're doing. That way you can come to me and I'll be like, mum's the word with me, and we are going to get you all fixed. Not that you're broken.
A lot of shame, right? Yeah, like people, I think, carry a lot of shame around money. And I mean, to your point of, if you just simply organize your money, just simply get by the process of getting organized, it frees up your mind. It frees you to be able to make decisions, and makes decision making so much easier. Don't you think?
So much easier. Yes. And the fact that, if you are a professional woman, if you're on your way to being a millionaire, you don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and create this system. It's very time consuming. And then add to the fact, if you're not good with numbers and you don't know what you're doing, then your frustration level goes through the roof, and you don't need that. So, let me do it, because I have fun doing that. Like, I love my spreadsheets and my numbers and my programs. So
What if you already are a millionaire? So you're already a millionaire, which honestly, in today's day and age, $1 million is probably not enough to retire on. You'd probably need 2 million.
Crazy.
Right. And so what if you're already a millionaire, but you still feel like you're a mess with your finances, right? Because maybe you got there by accidental means, such as you did your 401k investing diligently, like your financial planner told you to. And now you look up, you and your spouse have $1 million invested. It's awesome. Right. Or maybe you got an inheritance from a family member who passed. Maybe you won the lottery. I don't know. But there are ways, right? So there are lots of women I know out there who are already millionaires, but still feel shame around money and feel like they still don't know what I'm doing, right? And so
Absolutely.
what advice would you give them?
So my first advice would be to give themselves some grace, because grace goes a really long way. If you don't know about something, or if you're ashamed about something, it's okay. It's the reality. It's nothing terrible. It's nothing awful. It's just, that is the way it is. So now we have the cards on the table. Now we know what the issue is. Give yourself some grace. Then I would also say, to me, it's really important to take a clarity or a vision course to see what it is that you want to do in life, what it is that you want to serve or give back. Because then all of a sudden you can say, well, I have this $1 million, don't know what to do with it. What if I could create a homeless shelter for some people? Or what if I could give back to this cancer society that I really thought? What if I could start my own endowment fund? So I would say, figure out what it is you want to do. So 1, give yourself grace. 2, get some vision, some clarity to what you want to do. Definitely sleep on it. Don't come up with it in an hour. Sleep on it for a few days. Talk to your significant others about it. Absolutely. And then 3rd, get yourself a good system that organizes it. And whatever you want to use Quicken, you want to use an Excel spreadsheet, you want to use the old ways of ledgers. It really doesn't matter. But you do really need to know at any given moment what you have. So if you go out and you decide, I'm going to, spend money on that homeless shelter, I'm just going to dump 300 grand in that building. And all of a sudden you go, whoa, wait a second. If I did that, then I'm not going to be able to fund this. So there's a lot of opportunity cost that comes into play. Opportunity cost is when if you decide on one thing, you don't get something else. Like if you eat the cookie's not going to be there tomorrow type of mentality. But I think that's very important so that you know and you can make these decisions. Then at the end of the day, when you do purchase that $300,000 homeless shelter, you can come back and say, I had all the information. I thought about it. It aligns with my vision. I made the decision. And then, heaven forbid, if that decision is inaccurate, that's okay. We'll just go back to your money organizing system. We'll redo your vision, your clarity, and then we'll just kind of fix it. But then you don't have to be like, oh, I made an awful decision. This is terrible. So it really is a great support having that system for your peace of mind. And again, you come back to grace. I screwed up or I did an absolutely wonderful thing. So my tip is it really doesn't matter how many zeros you have in your bank account. You still have to make decisions and you still should know what you have at any given moment. Not this, I wait 6 months, I wait 2 years, I have no idea. It's just, I think that we are very, very blessed. I think we're required to be good stewards. I really do. I just think we can serve so much better if we're good stewards of our own money. And there's a reason the millionaires are millionaires. There's something that they have to give back. And it doesn't necessarily mean giving back to somebody else besides them. They could be giving to themselves. They could be giving to their children, whatever they want to do. But I think there's some responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah. Episode 100 of my podcast is called Give a Million. And it's this whole concept that I was thinking about the other day about wealth building and what exactly am I teaching and why am I teaching? Why am I teaching people to go from 1 million to 5 or 10 million? And why is that even important? I was brainstorming with a friend and I said, what if we flip the script on wealth building and we say, instead of like the goal being get my net worth to 10 million, what if the goal is how can I give $1 million in my lifetime while I'm still alive? Right. And not wait till I die and then it all goes. Because then you can see the impact, right? So that's that whole episode is all about that with all the tips and tricks and ideas. And so make sure you go back and listen to that one. And
I love that. Well, congratulations. That's amazing. Oh, I love it.
Yes. Yeah. So that's really where I'm headed, and now I'm like on this mission to do it myself. To give $1 million in my lifetime. And so I regularly give at least 10% of what I bring in. So now I want to go back and map it all out. Be like, how much have I given in my 44 years of life so far?
Oh, nice.
And then how much more can I give if I continue to grow and build and, and just like see some really cool impact happen. So anyway, I'm off on a tangent, but I have a question for you.
Sure.
You're a financial organizer. What's the difference between hiring someone who's a financial organizer versus a financial planner?
Yeah. So a financial planner is usually, people can correct me if they're wrong, but my understanding and my experience has always been the financial planner is somebody you go to when you have all this money that you need to do something with, or you need to plan for retirement. And those are two both amazing things. But you can't walk into a financial planner and say, would you please organize my checkbook for me? Would you please tell me how many Spotify things I have coming out of my account? Will you please tell me how much I spend on Starbucks every week? So the financial planner is great for planning, but I'm the organizer who gets everything organized so that you can plan. So I'm that middle person or that linchpin between I need change, I don't know what's going on, and I want to be in a place of change, or I want to know what's going on. Well, it's got to come to that point. So many people, you and I have been to quite a few seminars or conferences where, the millionaires and build your wealth and build your retirement and your future. I think there's a lot of people who they just can't do it because they're so stuck where they're at. And I would argue that women are more stuck than men only because women are doing so much. Guys are too, but we all know that the women tend to take on more. So our time, we're always busy. We always don't have enough downtime for ourselves. So I'm that linchpin. So come to me, I'll get your money all organized for you. You'll be all happy. Then you can walk into your financial planner and say, I know how much money I spend. I know how much money I have to give to you to help me plan for the future.
I feel like what you do is such a missing piece in our society right now.
Yes, I so appreciate you saying
that. There are so many of them. There's so many financial planners out there. And that's where everybody goes. But it's a missing that crucial organization piece, which I'm so excited that you are filling
And
for people. That is so amazing.
I would also argue that a lot of people are too intimidated or embarrassed to walk into the financial planner's office because you have to be real with them. You have to be open with them and you have to look at them and say, I have $50,000 of credit card debt. I don't have any income to put towards my retirement. So the financial planner is not going to tell you, okay, let's sit down and let's figure this out. How do we fix this for you? Then you can come back to me. That's not their job. It's totally fine. But they're going to send you on your way and say, once you get this organized, come back and see me and I'm happy to help you, which is the way it should be. But then the person walks out the door going, well, now what? And they're back to square one. So again, avoidance, embarrassment, disorganization.
Right.
So
And it just reinforces that shame, right? You walk in as a financial planner because everybody tells you should go see a financial planner. So you go see them and they're like, I can't help you because you don't have any money to invest. And then, just reinforcing that downward cycle. But once you get organized, that's the exciting part.
I'll tell you one quick story. I have a couple of clients who, believe it or not, they're in their early 30s, something like that. And they didn't even understand that interest was on a credit card when you don't pay off the balance, things like that. So the lack of knowledge for so many people is what keeps people in these shameful places, these disorganized places. It's very overwhelming. And so when we got her situated, and it was incredible because she has paid off probably half of her credit card debt in 2 months. And she is just beside herself. Not only is she happy that she knows what's going on, she also knows how to take care of things. But more importantly, she's watching this win after win after win. She called me. I gave her some homework. She did the homework. She saw what happened. She had some more homework. I mean, the wins just keep going and going and going. Then all of a sudden you get excited. And then you get excited about what money can do for you, not what it's been doing to you. That's what I really love, is this light bulb goes on in people. And then she's going to go out. She's going to start a new business. She's going to serve people, make some money, give back to the community in this massive way, instead of walking into a financial planner, being, oh, great, I don't have enough money for retirement, walking out and then just being stuck.
Yeah, you said it beautifully, right? Now
Thank you. Yes.
She's on a path to creating some pretty massive impact, which is
yes. And I hope I haven't demeaned financial planners. They're very, very important.
Not at all.
They're
right.
Like
so it's just not what you do, right? So you're the step in between. You're the step before the financial planner, and so you've got to get organized before you actually can even do a plan. It's something that I teach too at Primetime Wealth Academy. We have kind of 5 steps. So step number 1 is, what's your vision? Where are you headed? Where do you want to be? Step number 2, get organized. You've got to know where your money is. You got to know what's happening with your money. You got to know what kind of money you have to work with. Step number 3 is invest wisely and invest in an elevated way. Like we're moving out of just traditional investing. Let's get into the big game, right? With all the big girls. Step 4 is build a business. And so you need to have a business because there's all sorts of tax advantages for having a business.
Absolutely.
Protect your money and keep more of what you own. And then step 5 is leave that legacy, right? How can you
absolutely
give $1 million, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we do. Okay, well, that's amazing. Your business is amazing. So now let's pivot a little bit, right? So for the listener, Teshra has given you some really great golden nuggets on things to do to get organized and how you can work hard on getting that done. So now we're going to pivot a little bit. We're going to talk about Teshra and her business and how she's scaling, because she's already launched her business. You said you quit your W-2 about a year ago, yes?
Yeah, September 30th of last year.
Okay, so just celebrated her
exact
1 year anniversary.
Thank you.
Quitting her job, which is so amazing. And she's building a business. Now, of course, Teshra, when you start out building a business, you're pretty much doing it all yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So now you're ready to scale. So tell me, what are the things you're thinking about when it comes time to scaling this business? Because the kind of business you've built is a one-on-one business, right?
Yes.
So you are the consultant, you have one-on-one clients, basically. Talk to me about what you're thinking about in terms of scaling.
The first thing to do is, when you get to that scaling point, or it's time, I would say look back at what has happened behind you. And what I did was I made a list of all of my wins for the year. And a win for me was something that I was scared to do, but I stepped down and did it anyway. So for instance, I figured out how to write a contract. I had to call a tax planner. I had to go down and, get my business insurance, all of that fun stuff that you have to have and you don't know. So I made a list, and the list, you could almost like make a scroll and drop it on the floor. I just went back and I was like, oh my goodness. So what you have to remember is that all these things that you had to do in order to keep this business running for this first period, those were all wins. Whether your business is running good or bad, they're still wins because they were all scary things you had to do. You had to figure it out. So that would be the first thing, because then all of a sudden you go, oh, moving forward, I am very confident, because confidence to me is defined as, you have the ability to, whatever comes your way, you can solve it. So, going forward, okay, if we're scaling, the scaling word, we've got the confidence, we're good to go. So that would be my first suggestion, is the wins. The second thing would be, as you're moving along in your business, a lot of times people are very, very busy making so many decisions, so many changes, everything's new. I would say if you're fortunate enough to have somebody tell you, hire before you need people to work for you. And I know it sounds a little strange, but what happens is that if you hire somebody after your business is in chaos, you're dealing with the chaos, you're dealing with the scaling, you have no time to train people to help you. So then what? Then it gets really messy. And then you end up losing people because they don't like to work for you because you're all over the place. So I was fortunate enough to get that advice. I hired on some people probably 2/3 into this first year. And it was funny because I kind of went, I don't know what I'm going to give them to do. I got to find something for them to do. And so, yes, granted, their hours were a little smaller than what most people would be. But what I found happened was I was able to serve people who were hiring me because they needed something to do. They needed some pay. They needed some new skills, some new knowledge. But I had the time to set out exactly what I needed them to do. And then when that didn't work, that's not going to work. I can move on to this thing. Not, I've already scaled and oh gosh, this is chaos. So the E-Myth Revisited is such a fantastic book to read when you're first starting a business, because it really makes you start to realize, oh my goodness, if you go out and you love to make cupcakes, you're going to be doing way more than making cupcakes in the beginning. So you want to hire before you need somebody. Yes. Yeah.
So talk to me about the people that you did. Who was your first hire?
So my first hire was a lady who I had met through our church, and I had known her for quite a while. And she was a young mother of 2, stay-at-home mom. One of her daughters has special needs, and she is a serious go-getter, but she's young and she is determined to stay home with her children. And I had known her for a while, which was great. I knew that she was dependable. I knew her personality. I knew that I could trust her. And having said that, I did research how to sign up a confidentiality agreement, being one of my, employees or whatever. So that was a good thing to know ahead of time. And I said to myself, when I was working, what would I have loved for someone to come along and say to me, hey, I'm going to give you $1,000 a month. You can work whenever you want to. I just need 20, 40, 50 hours of project done within that time. I have this deadline. Let's do that. That's what I would want somebody to have said to me. When I was a stay-at-home mom, if somebody said that to me, that $1,000, $3,000 a month would have changed my life. And so that's what I was looking from, point of view I was looking from. And it turned out that what I was willing to give her is exactly what she needed. So that was a God thing. I think that was a real miracle in itself. But I think it was important that I started with where I was looking from and how would I want to be treated. And so moving along, we started out very purposeful. And whenever I would give her a task, I would always make sure this is the purpose of the task. Because if you know the purpose, then chances are you're going to do it a little bit better. Or when I come back and say, hey, you missed the mark on that. Oh, now I get it. That's the purpose of what we're doing. So we did that. We were also very good about communication. I let her know if there's something I'm doing that you're not happy with, I'm calling you too late. I'm not giving you enough work, whatever the issue is, let's be honest. And I can say to you, okay, I'm not giving you enough work. I don't have more work for you. We can have that honest, open communication. So we did that. And I was just as much, you tell me when things are going wrong there, and I can tell you when things aren't going well either. I really tried to treat them as a colleague as opposed to a hire, because I think what happens is at the end of the day, the people that you do hire, if you really say that they're your team, then you have to treat them like your colleagues. when it comes to how they want to be treated.
One of the things that you talked about was that the fact that you hired her not only is helping you as the business owner, right? Because she's taking tasks off your plate, freeing you up to do other things. You said this absolutely changed her life because
Mhm.
it gave her flexibility, it gave her purpose, it gave her money, it gave her like worth and opportunity to learn from you. All of
Mhm.
these things. And this
Yeah.
is what I think is so beautiful about women building businesses is that one of the reasons that I love to have a business is I love to employ people. I love being that
Mhm.
person that can employ people and help them in their lives. It's another reason I love having a cleaner because I like to employ
Mhm.
her. I like her to give her
Yeah.
purpose and she loves doing what she does and she comes
Absolutely.
faithfully and I love to I have no problem writing that check every time she comes or, because it's important to me to be the kind of person that can employ others and can, help them have a job because everybody needs a job, right? Everybody needs a way to bring in income. And especially
Absolutely.
since, the type of business that you and I have is it's an online business essentially. And so there's
Mhm.
no brick and mortar. They don't have to come in. And so it can be super flexible, which is something that the world is yearning for. And COVID, thankfully, kind of pushed us into this a little bit more,
Yes,
although some
definitely.
corporations still are not on board.
Mhm.
But I love that we can do that and we can hire others in our business. Like I can hire my
Yeah.
kids and my kids can
Yeah.
work for me. And now I have to worry about shelling money out for them to go to the movies. I'm like, no, they
Yeah.
earned it. Now you can go pay for your own thing. So
Way to go, mom.
it works out really,
Yeah,
really, really
absolutely.
well.
Absolutely. And so then I also, because she was my first helper, I made sure that I told her that we're going to try it for 3 months. If it goes great, then I'm going to give you a raise. And then we're going to do it for another 3 months. I'm going to give you another raise. And so she knew that if she did well, she was going to get raises. And granted, they weren't huge raises, but they were still raises and it was more money. So we had this understanding of, I'm going to give to you, you're going to give to me, and it's going to be reciprocal. It's not going to be in one direction. And then what happens is that the word spreads that your employer is treating you very well. So then you have people who want to work for you or know you're going to be willing to listen and talk to them. So, granted, I don't have a ton, but I'm hoping that this is the beginning and the catalyst of how I want to run my company. As it gets huger, obviously, I can't do everything for everybody, but I'm still excited to know
Right.
that's what I believe in my company. And that's part of our mission statement is we need to take care of each other. Yeah. And like you said, giving back, as millionaires giving back to people, we can give back. And
Yeah.
that's exciting to me. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So the first thing that you did after you started DIYing was you knew you needed to hire someone. And what you
Mhm.
said is actually hire before you need it.
Yes.
Don't wait till
Before.
you're in the chaos of it all
Yes.
and hire someone so you have the time to spend figuring out what they're going to do for you, how they're
Mhm.
going to do it. I think one of the things that I struggled with was I don't even know what they're going to do. So I felt weird hiring someone when I didn't know exactly what they would do. But I think if you just go
Mhm.
into it with this whole I'm going to figure it out
Yes.
mentality, like let's just figure it out as we go.
Yes.
A lot of entrepreneurs do that and
Mhm.
it works.
One little tip was if you read the book, The 80/20 Principle, it's interesting because as the CEO or founder of your company, you should be doing the 20%. Your hirees should be doing the 80%. So what I found myself doing was the 80% is easy. I'm going to work on that today. So then I started keeping a list of what's the 80% I'm working on because I really don't want to engage today. I'm too overwhelmed. I'm too tired, frustrated. And I kept a list. So then when I had to find things for her to do, oh, I went back to my list. And then what I found happened was it was two pronged. One, I was creating the procedure manual for my company through her because I was having to teach her what to do. And then I was taking it off my plate. So then I was like, I don't have any 80% stuff to do. I have to focus on the 20%. So no excuses
I know.
today. Yeah.
That's right. But it's okay to keep stuff that you love doing, right?
This is true. This is true.
That's
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes. Yes.
think one of the exercises I went through was to list everything that I did in my business. And it took
Yes.
time, right? It was annoying for me
Good
to step
idea.
back because I'm like a just go, go, go person. I'm like, okay, no, take a step back and
Hmm.
document every
Hmm.
little thing that I do in my business. And then I actually hired someone. And what we did is we hired this person to build out those processes for us, right? So I said, well,
Hmm.
here's one thing that I do. And then she had the task to go, and I created a video. I just talked about it in my video.
Mhm.
And then she built a whole document. And so if she ever left the company, the next person coming in could just pull that up and know exactly what to do. And so I don't have to
Nice.
train and retrain and retrain. We have
Yeah.
it all documented. And so that's one of the things that I hired someone to do. We created called SOPs, right? Standard
Yes,
operating.
absolutely.
So now we talked about how you went from solopreneur to
Mhm.
actually business owner, and you have some employees underneath you. What's next for Teshra? What's the next step?
I think the next step is I'm branching a little bit out into the coaching role, just a little bit more, because what I'm finding is the clients that I have, once I get them organized and get them going, they need a little bit of coaching along the way. And I'm going to throw out there that I'm not a life coach, I'm not a cheerleader, but I am more a get your SHIT together. I'm like, come on, let's get this done. Let's get this done.
Love it.
Yes. So I think what I really want to do a little bit more is have the systems being created that need to be created. And once they're done, sitting down with people and saying, okay, for 3 months, we're going to see how you're doing. We're going to see what's going on. 6 months, we're going to have a follow up. And then 9 months, I'm going to cut you loose and you've got this. So I really want to have people who really, they get it. They've got it. If you need to come back to me and your business is scaling, I can teach you some more things to do so we can make your programs, keep them relevant for the time or whatever's going with your business. That. And then I'm also working on a somewhat of a book series, but I'm going to kind of keep it under wraps a little bit.
I love it.
I'm kind of excited about that because, again, even though I'm a financial organizer, my passion is for people to be doing what they want to do. The only way they're going to do what they want to do is there's certain things in their life they have to do. And most of us know we got to take care of our health. We have to have a good mindset. We have to get back to the community. I mean, there's this list, but at the end of the day, you need to be looking at that list and you really can give back so much more if you're really taking care of yourself and doing that. It's a little bit of mindset, a little bit, it's kind of holistic and it kind of encompasses it all.
There's a reason that health and wealth rhymes because it goes together. What's the purpose of building wealth if you don't have the health to enjoy it and to see what impact you can create?
Yeah.
So that's why there's a pretty high correlation between wealthy people being very healthy.
And so my mission is I've been bringing people in to get them organized, but I'm turning into more like of a middleman where I'm finding that I'm meeting so many people who are experts in their fields. And somebody is an expert in the health and nutrition field and come to me, we'll get you figured out. We'll get you onto that person and you move along. And I also feel like there's different times in our lives where we need different people. We need to really focus. Let's focus on this issue. Let's then focus on that issue. Let's not try to do it all at once, but let's keep it all in the back of our mind that this is what we need to all intertwine, but we need to get focused on some of these. And it's amazing how quickly, when we really set our minds to it, we can make change in our lives. And so I love listening to Brendan Burchard when he always talks about how he sustains traveling all the time and talking at so many events. Well, he has very, very specific things that he does to take care of himself. And they are time consuming and they're very consistent and they're very detailed. But those are the kind of things that he's able to give back so much more because he's taking such good care of himself. And then especially as we get older, we're building more wealth, we're getting towards more freedom and flexibility. Well, if we're not healthy, we're going to end up not being able to use any of it anyway.
You have dropped so many beautiful golden nuggets here. One of the ones I wanted to highlight was just when you said writing down your wins equals confidence, right?
Yeah.
So if you are struggling with the confidence to get your money under control or the confidence to branch out of 401k investing and to try something new, if you're struggling with the confidence to launch that business or to launch that nonprofit that you've always wanted to do, take a look back at all the evidence that you have in your life of how freaking amazing you are, right? Did you
Absolutely
just make that list? I'm sure your list is going to scroll just like Teshra's does. I just want to encourage the listener, write down those wins. If you make it a habit, my performance coach, she tells me to make it a habit of every day to write down 3 wins. So even on the crappiest days, you have had some wins. There's no day that goes by that absolutely nothing goes right or you did not have anything good happen to you. And if you want to debate me on that, I'm going to argue back.
Me too. I'll stand with you.
Eyes are focused in the wrong place because we all have this. I love this concept of we have 2 pages on our book of life. One page is all the good stuff that happens. One page is all the bad stuff. And where are your eyes going to focus the most? You choose, right? You choose.
Absolutely. You do choose. Yeah. And it's as simple. There's some days where I'll get to the end of the day and go, okay, what were my wins? Well, I did get out of bed today. I did choose not to answer back to my child who, snapped at me. I mean, they can be very, very simple. I had 1 scoop of ice cream instead of 3. I mean, but you find that if you start doing this practice, all of a sudden the list starts to get so long, you have to stop writing. You go, oh, okay. Like I've got 27 lines today. I'm good. I can stop. I'll go to tomorrow. So, but they really do and then you start to see yourself as you were so capable. You were so able to be confident, but more importantly, you are so incredibly unique. There's not a single other Camilla in this world and nobody can do what you do. And that's kind of mind blowing when you think about it. And no matter what you're doing, nobody can do what you do. So hence the phrase, do you, in my business name, because I am a firm believer. People say you can be anything you want to be, whatever you want to do when you grow up, you can be it. And I would argue you have to do it. You're not going to magically become something. And so to me, it's all about action and making those choices of what are you doing and what do you want to do? And it's very, very active.
Yeah. And if you just make a goal to take action on one thing every day, it's a lot, right? A lot of action. Go for it, right? You can do it. You can do it. Well, Teshra, we're coming up on our time. It has been such a pleasure to have you on the show. So if our listener would like to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
So I'm on Facebook at Teshra Do You. My email is teshradoyou@gmail.com. Those 2 places are great. So working on a website, believe it or not, I haven't needed a website. I've had so many clients by word of mouth. It's been amazing. So that's in the works too as well. Because I guess, I probably should have one of those. But yeah, and I would love to hear from people. I would love to help. And again, thank you so much for having me on this. I think you're absolutely amazing. And it's so cool how we met and that we got this time together. So thank you.
Yes. Same. And to our listener, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate you being here at Quiet Wealth, where we have just really intimate conversations about money. So please share this episode with a friend that you know. After all, we need to share the education so we can share the wealth. Thanks so much. Bye for now.